Chapter 2, Part 2. In the first part of this chapter, we learned how to find a good topic for your research. And here I'm going to talk about the most important part of a research, which is the literature review. I said most important because basically the literature review is the main part of any research, including the proposal that you are expected to write for this course. I start with the worst scenario of writing a literature review. I think that's going to give you the idea of what is expected. The worst scenario is the worst way you can write your proposal is to make a list of unrelated. The worst scenario is to make a list of unrelated or related but fragmented research articles. I've seen it a lot that students make a list of the studies that they have reviewed without trying to synthesize this research, to explain the relationships, to somehow connect these articles together. They should know that the purpose of a literature review is to show that your research is a part of an existing body of knowledge and that your study should be a logical extension of past research. What does it mean? It means like a family tree that you start with the early ancestors, and the same thing you do in the literature review. You don't actually draw this in your literature review, but this is something that it's a mental depiction of how you go through your literature review processes. So you start with the historical background, the major branching points, and also the current research. This literature map helps you to organize your thoughts and organize the articles that you read for your literature review, to put them together, to synthesize it in a meaningful way. For example, here is a research about programs that are supposed to be culturally responsive. So you want to do a research under this general topic. You go to the literature, you see, okay, there are two types of research. One that has been done inside USA, and then there are some studies that has been done on students who take a course abroad to learn about the culture of that country. And then this is, the main categories, and then each of these categories have further branches, and you organize it not like in visual picture like this, but in a format that explains how it's originated and how it ended. And finally you end up with your current research, the present research, the research that you want to do, and you explain it at the end of your literature review. Okay, what's the purpose of the literature review? The most important function of literature review is to direct yourself, to see where this thing or this idea started, what has been done earlier, what we already know, and what's needed to be done, so you can focus on that in your research. And the way you write it is, I always tell my students that when I'm reading your literature review, how can I tell if your literature review is written well? I start the first paragraph. Does the first paragraph help me, or is it written in a way that I can predict what's going to come in the next paragraph? That's a good literature review. That means that has smooth transition and it has a logical pattern in it. It's not fragmented. It's not unrelated paragraphs. Here I'm going to show you some bad examples. Like for example, the goal of one research is to study the effect of the internet on aggressive behavior. Okay, but the literature review shifts away from this main goal and focuses on teenagers and their social issues. Or the literature review switches away to the advancement of technology, or it focuses on gender gap or racial difference. You gotta focus always throughout your literature review on the main goal or the main research problem, the thing that encouraged you to do this research, not on marginal and interesting discussions that has been, or the debates that has been reported in the literature. Here I'm going to give you some tips on how to do your literature. First, start with a textbook or a meta-analysis or a review to get the whole picture of the topic. The other thing is you got to make a list of correct terms. For example, if you search the internet for internet bully, you may not find anything. But if you change it to cyberbully, you may find a lot. Just changing or using the correct term, it helps a lot. Another tip that you can use is when you read your first article, probably you learn about some key figures, some important figures in that subject, and then you focus on that particular person because they have their whole life, they have worked their whole life on this topic. So you can search for that particular researcher to see what else they have done in this particular subject. That saves you a lot of time in your search. Another thing is you got to use the correct database. For example, you are in education, usually we use ERIC database, but sometimes you have to go to sociology, psychology, and other disciplines to find the articles, because not all articles are indexed in educational databases. The other thing is use advanced search. I always ask my students in my face-to-face classes that how many have used the advanced search in Google. Usually I get only one or none. Students never use the advanced search. The advanced search is not there to make it complicated. It's there to make it easier for you to do a better and more efficient search. Also, it's recommended to use the thesaurus or maybe the synonym key on your word processor to find equivalent terms or similar terms to use. The other thing that it's sometimes useful is, instead of starting with a textbook or a meta-analysis, you can start with a simple journal article and then look at the reference list, because when you read an article, most of the citations in that article are closely related to that topic. So that saves you time and energy to find related articles. And also, like I said before, you can use a research map to help you to visualize the structure of the literature, and that's going to be significantly helpful in writing your literature review.